Hello, everyone. GM. Welcome to another episode of the Solfate podcast, where we talk with builders and founders in the Solana ecosystem. How you doing, James?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing so good. I
Good.
love the amazing conversations we have with some of these builders, especially the ones that are heavy duty builders.
Heavy duty.
Do you like that? Do you
Heavy,
like that? It's a
yeah.
good segue.
That was perfect. It was not cheesy at all. It was
No,
ideal.
Austin Federa tells me that I'm like a radio show host when I do
Uh
this types of
yeah,
content. I'm
yeah.
like, that's
I
fair.
I feel that. I feel that. You're good at it. It's great. No, but
Thanks,
but
man.
let's talk heavy duty builders. Heavy duty builders
Yeah.
is basically like a Solana developer community started
Mhm.
by Dan and Andres. We talked to Dan today. It was super cool. It was a great conversation. He's just a super chill guy, but also
Oh
talking
yeah.
about what they're doing to educate Solana developers, create new Solana developers, create community. They're very sort of like Spanish speaking focused, but really open
Which is
to
awesome.
everyone. But I love that they sort of have this focus on Spanish speakers. I don't know the actual stats, but it's one of the most spoken languages in the world. So
Hmm.
enabling access to Solana development, educational content, and community for native Spanish speakers is I think amazing.
Yeah, especially that Heavy Duty actually does in-person events in Spain. I believe they're in Tenerife, which is like a small island off the coast of Spain, which is like tropical wonderland. It looks beautiful. We actually talk about that, but they do in-person events too, which is really cool. Like not many people know the struggles of doing in-person events, especially education events. So we talk about that, and then the three of us all having this like developer education focus and background for many years. We all talk about and lament on developer education and why it's so hard and so many people struggle with it and why you have to do it like a certain way in order for it to work. Yeah, it was great.
Great conversation. Great guys. Jump into the show. Before we dive in, though, quick shout out to Phantom. Phantom is the
Phantom.
preferred wallet of the Solfate ecosystem. We are stoked to partner with them. We're working on some cool stuff that we will announce in the future. We also haven't been talking about the dev list recently, and we probably should. If you haven't signed up for the dev list, go do
Probably
that.
should.
The Solfate dev
Devless
list.
sticker right there. It's really
Yeah,
good.
we got some cool stickers, some swag. We will try to publicize that more in the future, but we're trying to get airdrops to the devs. Also, last thing, shout out to Unboxed. Unboxed is a dev shop that I, own and operate. It's a great team. We're here for all your Solana development needs. So reach out if you need anything, and we'd be happy to help. And then last thing, I lied before about the last thing, is if you enjoy the show, please jump in and leave us a rating and
Oh
review
yeah,
on your favorite
please
podcast
do.
app. But yeah, now let's dive in.
Let's go. Nothing in this podcast is or should be considered financial advice. Any opinions and thoughts expressed are solely those of the individual. They do not represent the opinions of any entity. Enjoy.
Dan, how you doing today?
All good, sir. It's actually always nice when you live in a tropical paradise, usually here in the Canary Islands, being able to see the beach when you go to the work.
Oh yeah.
Um, it's really awesome. So it can cheer you up real quite well. So yeah, doing well.
Dude, I imagine. I freaking love the beach. I don't know why I don't live at the beach. Some part of me feels like it'll take away the magic if I live there full time. How long have you been living on the beach?
So I've been here for 2 years now. I have to admit that I'm not that close to the beach as you might guess. From what I said earlier, but I see it when I walk here to the office. So I actually have to walk like 20 minutes to actually get there. So I've been like in the beach like 3 or 4 times to be honest. Mostly all the time here in the office doing code related stuff. Doing my thing. My wife does go all the time. She's been there like she goes all the time with Andres's wife, or co-founder Andres. He's also lives here. So we have this like little office here, this little piece of paradise, and yeah, it's all good.
That's freaking sick. Um,
That's cool.
well, you mentioned your co-founder. Let's just chat about like what you guys do. What is Heavy Duty Builders? Fill us in here.
Yeah. So just to get you guys started, so Andres and I, we know each other for like 15 years now, a little bit more. It's been with time, it gets the number grows and it's hard to keep track. It's like, yeah, like 15 or 18 years ago or something we met. Um, we've been like friends since then. Then we both went to college. We're like from the same town in Venezuela, which is not like the capital city. So if you want to go to college in Venezuela, you mostly have to go to the capital city in order to like get like the best education options. So we both moved there. We both went to the same college. We both studied computer engineering. Um, Fondly, like he had this girlfriend in a different town, and we used to travel together. Like I also had one, so we used to travel a lot. Back then, like this is more closer, like 10 years ago. We had our first entrepreneurship project. It was a platform for tattoo artists to like post their work, the kind of things that they like to do, and trying to connect them with people, like looking their kind of their art. And we traveled across Venezuela trying to push it out. It was 2013, 2014, around that time. Since then, we tried. This is actually really funny because we went everywhere trying to pitch it. So we prepared this pitch deck. We were just kids, and we prepared this deck, and we went to a lot of places, and everyone told us the same thing. It's like, I don't really like the idea, but I really like the site. Who built the site for you guys? And we're like, we built it ourselves because we were studying computer engineering. For us, it was like an opportunity to learn something new. So we went ahead and built an app in AngularJS. This was 2013. So we built this SPA application, and everyone was so surprised about like how fast it looked in comparison to everything else. And then we decided, what if we turned this into a software like company? And that, from then on, we started making like what we perceived back then like a lot of money. So we started working different kind of projects, from like access control systems to like helping people that got their MySQL database corrupted, setting up like networks. We did like actually anything that was related to computers, and we did it for, I would say, like 5 years, something, maybe 6 years. Back then, that was the time I have to leave Venezuela. Then I moved to Uruguay. Andres moved here to Spain. Not the Canary Islands then. It was in a different place. But still, so we had to, go apart. He started working on his things. I started working on my things. Then I moved back to Spain. I was like, bro, we got to do it. We got to go back to what we were doing. We got to like start building for people. We have to build our brand again. We have to, get started. Now, this is like for us, like coming from Venezuela, like living in Europe and getting access to this kind of exposure is like, it feels like the major leagues, right? So we are like, let's do it again. Let's try here. And yeah, we've been essentially offering like software development services here in Spain to different clients that we had before, and all in all, that's what we do. And Heavy Duty Builders is actually like the fun side of it. Like I've been like looking to create a place where like older builders can come in and feel super comfortable to like, hang and talk and share their ideas, learn together. So that's essentially what I've been doing. I've been in Solana since 2021. I've been trying to build this community from the ground up, essentially. And yeah, I mean, I've seen people like going through Solana, living the ecosystem, then new people come. So I've been here. I've seen like essentially almost like the entire history of it.
Yeah, you've
to
seen
be
the
honest,
full
at
up
this
and
point.
down the last couple of years, I'm sure.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been here for a while, and Heavy Duty Builders as well. So what we do at Heavy Duty Builders essentially is that we want to essentially create a place for builders to hang together, build stuff, share their projects, get feedback from other builders, and just overall place for builders to hang and chill. I speak Spanish, as you probably noticed from my accent. I'm not a first Spanish, first English speaker, so So I mostly do Spanish stuff. So right now we're doing a lot of Spanish speaking activations. So we're doing events in Spain. Like we did is 2 Solana Day, one in Barcelona and one in Madrid, alongside with Andrew. Andrew works for the Solana Foundation team. He's doing like community and Spanish stuff. So we've been like essentially helping him and trying to level up the game and trying to have more events, more activities. Today I found out that we have 19 projects coming from Spain, which is actually a record number. From the data I have, we have like an increase of like 100% of projects. So it really shows that the whole idea of doing boot camps, doing activations, doing events, doing all this stuff actually shows off. And yeah, we're super excited to be able to like prepare the ground in a way to actually get everyone here in Spain like involved with Solana and having more activation events and activity overall here in the ecosystem.
That sounds
Dude,
that sounds
that's
awesome. I
yeah.
think we like dev communities. I feel like dev communities have grown a lot over the last year or so, right? Like there's different parts of the world where people are building out developer communities. We've got things like our Solfate dev list and the DevNet directory, like the 76 devs guys. Like I love seeing these different pockets of devs getting together and forming a tight knit community, helping each other learn, giving each other feedback. I think that's awesome. It sounds like you guys are you primarily focused on events in Spain, or are you more remote focused than just like any Spanish speaker from anywhere?
So the deal here is that essentially like heavy duty builders is an online thing. So like anyone can come. So the last bootcamp, we had people from all over the world that speak Spanish. Actually, it was crazy because when we thought about the time zone, we set it up for Spain, and then realized that a lot of people was just physically possible for them to be there. So we record everything, and we saw a lot of the people actually saw like the recorded version afterwards. So it's funny that way because we like Spanish is like the second or third more spoken language in the world. So there's like people that speak Spanish all over the world. So we have people everywhere. But we're right now doing a lot of Spanish focused activities because we want to have like not only our online like presence, but also have like on-site presence of heavy duty builders here in Spain, and actually people from here to know what we're doing, get here. So we're reaching out to different communities already here, trying to, get them involved in Solana. Like our ultimate goal is to start seeing Solana events starting popping up by themselves. So right now we have to do a lot of, hands-on work in order to like get these things pushed out of the door, in the sense that we have to like I'm essentially like one of the security guys in the events as part of my jobs, and so it's kind of crazy, but we're looking forward to like get more people involved, more movement, more noise, and hopefully we can start doing these events with like actually like less responsibilities from our end, which is like what we want to get to.
What do these
in-person
events look
events
like?
have like so many moving parts with them. They're so complicated and so difficult to
Yes,
do.
sir.
And
Yes,
especially if you have like your primary frame of reference is doing like online virtual ones, like so many more things you have to do and care about with the in-person. It's wild.
Yeah. I think that in my experience, like the biggest difference is that when you do an in-person thing, like it just ends when the event ends. Like it ends, you take you pick up your shit and stuff. Sorry if I don't know if I can curse, but you take all your stuff together. You take all your stuff and you leave, and that's it, right? You crack a beer, then you're done. But with the online stuff, I've seen like you end the activity, then you have a bunch of people asking questions, and if you like, I feel drawn to that. So I ended up spending way more time like answering questions, spending time that like analyzing what people ask and stuff like that. But in an in-person event, it ends. It's done. I can go my home. I can sleep. I can forget about it. Like I feel like online stuff, it's like I feel like I'm working 24/7 essentially. I think that like that's how it feels in my opinion. Maybe like given how we do it, like we do only like Discord, live activities. So like I have to be there. So maybe that's why I see it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally feel the same way about virtual versus in person. Like the virtual doing events like online workshops or whatever, especially when you like get into Discord and Discord is always on, vice workshops are inherently time boxed. It does always feel like it's an always on sort of thing. But I
Yeah.
also have noticed the exact same thing of like the difference of interactions and engagement between a virtual workshop or an in-person event. People are always asking more questions on the online version and typically don't ask that many questions in person, which I think is very interesting. I've never thought about it until you mentioned it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it also it's the fact of like the type of event. So we like when we heavy duty builders, when I say we, I mean heavy duty builders, we organize something ourselves. It's never ended. Like so we have a bunch of partners that have like places like academies where you go and learn like coding in general.
Mm-hmm.
So we have them as partners. So we go there and we do like a 2 hour workshop on Solana, for example. Um, and like the vibe there is so different from when you do like a Solana Day event that's like for everyone, you know. So when you do like a workshop thing, I feel like people is kind of shy, and some people like they don't ask the questions until after the event, like in
Mm-hmm.
Discord or something. But when I go to Solana Day Madrid or Solana Day or whatever, like one of this like more like community oriented events, man, I feel like I don't stop talking for a second. Like I have people and people and people. Like you get to meet someone else, and everyone's
Oh
asking
yeah.
questions. So the vibe is so different. I found it a little exhausting to like talk all the time because I'm a I'm a developer. You know, like honestly, I'm all day in the computer. So like talking all day with different people for me it takes something. Like it's a little bit of effort. So for me, doing community events is like, man, it's like a lot. It's like a lot. I love doing workshops, and I try to get people to not feel shy. I always try to like make them feel comfortable, trying to make them understand that I'm not like your like super like your teacher from college. I'm just a dude that likes to code. I do it for money, and I can teach you some shortcuts. That's essentially what I'm doing. Yeah, it's really up to you at the end of the day because I can what how much I can teach you in 2 hours, right? It's up to you after that to actually keep it
Oh
up
yeah.
and keep going. Um, but yeah, I love that, like doing depth oriented stuff. That's really cool. Trying to do as much as possible. It's not always possible, but as much as we can, to be honest.
For people listening who are hearing this and they're like, "Oh, that sounds super cool. I want to also join a community like that." How do people get involved? What's the easiest entry point?
Yeah, so we have our Twitter, Heavy Duty Build. You can find us there. You can follow us there. We post things ahead of time. Some alpha that can be on the video is that we're preparing a new boot camp. It's gonna be super cool. We're still figuring out dates, but it's coming. So just stay on top of that. And yeah, we're gonna keep posting things just to keep you all guys informed on like the things we're doing. And if you are in Europe and you're not in Spain, or maybe you feel like, well, we'll go there, I don't speak Spanish, don't feel that way. We have a bunch of people that only speaks English as well. We have people from all over that also come to the events. So you are all invited. Spain is awesome. So if you don't live in Spain, it's a good excuse to come here. Yeah, overall, yeah, get involved in the ecosystem. Solana is awesome. The majority of people that comes stays. Yeah, you can be one.
That's awesome. I do. I mean, also to the people who don't want to go because they don't speak Spanish, just learn Spanish. Like it's. I feel like knowing
Multiple
Spanish,
programming
like,
languages, multiple spoken languages. Why not?
I mean, for real though, I honestly, like, to Dan's point that Spanish is like, one of the most spoken languages in the world. Knowing Spanish has like been helpful for me so
Oh
often,
yeah, I bet.
right? Like I cannot literally I cannot tell you the number of times that knowing Spanish is just like makes my life better. So
Yeah, dude.
like I was kind of joking, but also like if you're at all interested in like being in Spanish speaking areas, they're freaking sick and just learn Spanish. Like why not?
Yeah, I totally agree with that point. I mean, I have to be honest, like if like I speak Spanish, so my side of the story is slightly different because when you grow up in Venezuela, like minimum wage back then when I was like 18 was $20 a month. So learning English and being able to sell stuff to like outside of Venezuela, you enter like this, like it's like a crazy economy where you have like so much more money than everyone else. So like when you're small, when you're a kid, like your parents tell you you have to learn English. The people that know English make more money. Like that's part of our culture. I mean, not everyone follows it, but like that's very normal. Um, and yeah, I mean, dude, if I didn't speak English, I couldn't be here, and like so many other stuff that I couldn't have the chance to do. So yeah, I mean, I think that learning new languages is like it's like unblocking like new, like I don't know, a whole new thing for you. It can really help. And Spanish is not gonna be a weakness. Like it's not it might not be English, but it's like also super useful. And yeah, I mean, I think in Spanish can be hard, but also you have to remember that the majority of people in Spanish-speaking countries, they tend to be really welcoming with English-speaking people because they tend to think that you guys have money. So they want to be on a good page with you. So they want to go fine. They want to be your friend. So they're gonna let it go. So if you don't talk
That's
a
fun.
perfect Spanish, they're gonna be super okay with it. So you don't have to feel like pressure to like have like a perfect Spanish or anything like that. Yeah, you're gonna be good.
That's funny. I mean, I've always found most Spanish speaking cultures to be like very warm and welcoming regardless,
Yeah,
you know. I
same.
just it's like obviously I'm sure there are exceptions to that. But like I feel like South American culture is especially just like incredibly warm and welcoming. My family sort of comes from Brazil, so not Spanish, it's Portuguese. But like similar cultures, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just very like the more the merrier. Let's all get together and have a good time. And I kind of love that. And I think that I think that jives really well with Solana culture as well. I think there are some areas of tech that are like intense and not fun. And Solana has this like this community that's like very intense. You've got some very like low level devs
Yeah.
who like know their shit, but also it's like fun and open, and we just want to have a good time, right? Like Solana dev
Good
events I
vibes
feel
all
like are
around.
really cool like that, where it's like, hey, we're gonna learn, this is gonna be intense, but also like good vibes everywhere, you know?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, I've had the chance to go to like a few hacker houses. And honestly, my favorite one, well, I think there's two favorite ones. I went to Prague, so you probably know Prague. Prague was
Ooh,
out of this
jealous.
world. So I have to put it first because it just was surreal. Uh, but second one, it has to be Colombia, and I will say in the vibes, like bro, it was amazing. Like the whole dev area or pool. I don't know how it's called, but essentially, there everyone knew each other. Like everyone got to be friends. There were a bunch of like Venezuelans, Colombians, Ecuadorians, like from different countries went to Bogota to that event. It was amazing to see so many cultures, and we are so similar to each other because we are all like sort of the same. Like we're come from like Aboriginal roots, but we also have this very strong European you know uh, uh, cultural thing in us as well. So it's like you can meet people from entirely different countries, be so similar. It's very much like you guys in US. I'm assuming you guys are in the US, but that you have a very huge country, but the states are so big and so separate from each other that you're like almost like tiny little countries within a country. But in this case, like a separate country, different constitution, different everything, and we're so similar. It's kind of cool to see that.
For sure. That is way cool. What percentage you think of like your events or like how, like what percentage of your events are remote versus in person?
So I think that when it comes to in-person events, it involves other moving parts. So it's very much out of our like control when we do them. So we're mostly like there ready if there's anything needed. Actually, like when we're working with like the new markets team and we're doing events here and that sort of things, we're essentially there as support. So those are not directly things that we organize ourselves. We're part of the organization. We're part of the logistics. We do a lot of the work, but we're not calling the shots.
Cool.
When it comes to the events that are online, we're trying to step it up. We used to do like weekly calls, but people dropped a little bit, so we stopped doing them. So we did the boot camp, and people got really excited. So now we're trying to see if we can do like a boot camp every quarter. Trying to step up the game and trying to see if if that gets more people excited and also see how retention plays out long game. It's a lot of things. But regarding the coming events, we're planning this bootcamp soon. So stay on top. We're gonna be posting all the news about it very soon on our socials.
That's an in-person boot camp?
It's online. It's an online boot camp. Okay. Yes.
Great. How long are your boot camps usually?
So the last one was a month. We're gonna try to do the same. So we're trying to have this. It's last one was actually pretty intense according to the feedback. That's essentially the word that everyone sort of use. We had like weekly homeworks. We had like a project. I have quizzes. I have like I made them do like quite a lot.
That's how it should be. Like people when they do boot camps, it's like they always assume that it's going to be like a couple of video recordings. It's very passive. They're like getting the information spoon fed to them, and then that's it. They're like, oh, I went to a boot camp. I learned some stuff. Like you retain so little information from that. Where when you do a boot camp in the structure that you're describing, same thing with like WBA, where it's very interactive. There's all these additional components and things that you have to like actively participate in, and without that, like the retention goes down, like the knowledge retention and the ability retention goes down significantly. So when you add in all these layers of kind of complexity, but it's like it's good complexity because like you're a developer, you're trying to be a developer, you need to practice being a developer to be able to code things, right? And without that practice, it just like falls apart so quickly. So this is amazing. You're doing it perfectly right, and I love it. More people need to do this.
Yeah, dude. Like we actually like we built like this little cool bot that looks like a builder. I don't know if you saw it. We call him Bob. And now he's all over. Like everyone was like super excited about him, and they all loved it. And now we're trying to create a Discord bot that we have long term. So whenever we do this kind of things, we can just set it up and use it. But yeah, we have like a leaderboard in Discord, and actually we decided like when we thought about, okay, so what are we gonna make them do? So we were like, okay, let's be super flexible, and just have like some instructions. And then people that struggle, we're gonna help them individually. And like people that seem to know what they're doing, we're gonna just push them so they do like custom stuff. And man, it was so tiring to review all that. I regretted that so badly in a sense because I spent every weekend, man. I was like from Saturday to Sunday. I was like, oh, it's ready, and then it's 3 more people just submitted. God damn! And I was like, man, it was. Everyone loved it, so I was like, at the end, I was like, it was so good. But for the next one, I'm actually taking the time to like create like end-to-end tests and tell them, yo, send me the code here. I'm gonna run the end-to-end test and period. If that doesn't run, man, I'm sorry, you don't get the points. So because man, reviewing all that, it's really, really, really tiring. It's really tiring, and you have to clone this, npm install it, run it. Like from the time you start, you like it's like at least 20 minutes each. So yeah,
It's it's interesting. Most people don't understand the amount of work that goes into a good like a good educational event, right?
yeah,
They think uh, like I don't know, teaching is underappreciated, I think, probably worldwide, but
Oh yeah.
it's interesting because all three of us on this call like have been heavily involved apparently in developer education for a very long time, right? Like I've been working for coding boot camps since 2015. Nick, even before Solana, was like teaching very technical material in the military, and then now runs like Solana boot camps and stuff, and then you're running these boot camps that you're describing. And so it's interesting because we all sort of have this shared notion of like how much work is required to help people learn, and probably most people on the learning side don't realize the amount of effort that goes into it. They just sort of take it for granted and are like, yeah, whatever, I'm going to show up and like maybe learn some stuff and then I'm going to leave. But it really takes a lot, and like good teachers put a lot of effort into their lessons, into following up with students, reviewing content. Like you're saying, it's like you're putting work in beforehand, hours and hours of work to try to create a suite of tests that you can use to sort of like make sure you can tell people where they're at and help them understand their progress. And it's just, I don't know, it's wild because it's not like, I think it's fortunately in the Solana ecosystem, Solana Foundation has put a lot of time and energy into education, and frankly, like financial resources into education. Lot that doesn't happen everywhere. I think we're incredibly fortunate that Solana Foundation realizes how important that is, and
yeah,
is willing
And
to
we
like
very much
sponsor
do.
events. Yeah, it is like sponsor events, hire people like Nick. Not sure. I mean, maybe that's not the best example because it's Nick, but I'm just kidding. Nick.
Just a guy.
Like
Yeah.
there's
James over there throwing
there's
shade.
so many throwing shade at Nick there, but for real, there's so many people involved in like trying to educate developers in the space, it's, I mean, we're incredibly lucky if I'm being honest. The developer
Yeah,
community
100%.
the developer community that while and I said this earlier, like it thrives on good vibes, it also wouldn't exist if there wasn't a huge push for education, right?
yeah,
Like Solana is tough, right? Like we've got the chewing glass meme for a reason. Like it is tough, and it's certainly gotten easier over time, but it still is a different paradigm, a different way of thinking about things relative to I think what most developers are used to. So like it's awesome that you guys are out here trying to educate people, creating these spaces that are effective and fun and motivating, that also have like a social component to it to sort of keep people engaged on an ongoing basis.
yeah, dude. We actually had interviews with different let's call them personalities from Solana. We had Beeman, we had Carlos from Userfi, we had Tristan from Backpack. We were going to have Chuo. He's from Solana All Stars, but he went through like a medical complication, so we couldn't have him. But we also have like this like interviews, and I think that people tend to have reasons to hate teachers or to like under like appreciate it, and it's because like all of us had like a bad experience with a teacher at some point. So you're just projecting it. So like every teacher, you're like, this is gonna be the same as that other teacher that messed me up or something. I used to be a super rebel kid, so I used to have a lot of issues with my teachers, and I used to resent them. And now I became one. So it's kind of funny how life works,
Maturity works weird.
and yeah, man. I mean, you learn to appreciate everyone and everything. Like, who cares? Life's already hard enough. So yeah.
How so like at the start of this conversation, you sort of talked about how you and Andres basically ran like a dev shop,
Yeah.
right? How much of that do you still do today? Because it sounds like you're doing a lot of educational work, putting on events. um you're still devs though, right? So it's like how much time do you still do client work?
Yeah, so I'm doing client work less and less. Andres is starting to take more responsibility in that part than me lately. That used to be me, but now he's doing it himself. We have people that we have from our community and other like friends, old friends that we've worked in the past, and we like hire other people to do stuff. We refer people. That's essentially what we're doing right now. Um, and yeah, we do some contracts, like especially if they are like directly related to Solana. For example, we're building a POS system for a club here in Madrid. Right now we're struggling because of the congestion thing, and now why the code that used to work 2 weeks ago now it's suddenly not working as well. So we're still struggling with it, but yeah, we're like, I'm not personally doing like the work itself. I'm mostly like a strategic role, and just helping them getting unblocked. And we're actually we have someone from the boot camp doing the work. He graduated first place.
Nice.
He's been killing it. So we hired for a job. He did it well. We hired again, and like he's freelancing for us essentially. And that's essentially where I feel like we were gonna like inevitably move to. Especially if we want to like grow a thing. I can't be like all day coding, even though I would love it. I can spend like my entire full-time day just doing dev stuff, because then nothing moves. So like my role is very more strategic, and I do stuff when it's really mandatory. They have to do it. Otherwise, like we have other people supporting and helping, so we can keep doing everything in parallel. But yeah, I didn't. The real question here: do you sleep? I don't. Do you take days off? I don't. I work from Monday to Monday. We're always here. Um, that's how we do it. That's the secret. You just work and work and work. That's how you. that's it. That's the
Nice.
secret
Statement.
sauce.
Not financial advice.
Yeah, and not for everyone. I have my times. I have some periods where I'm like, I'm gonna do Monday to Monday, and fuck it, we versus the world, and we're not. And then I get back to like, okay, I have to like have some sort of like work life balance, and my wife convinces me, so I try to take it slow for a few days, maybe weeks at most. But man, I just love doing stuff anyway. So I mean,
Nice.
if I'm home, I'm still working anyway. I just find ways to work. Like I don't know.
Same.
Man, that's like, I mean, that's better. I mean, imagine feeling like work is like a torture, and still having
Yeah.
to do it. That sucks way worse. So
And
yeah, I
that's
mean,
one of the
we're
things I've
lucky.
noticed about having conversations that people that work in blockchain specifically, but tech in general, kind of, and definitely in the Solana ecosystem. Most people, especially developers, seem to always have that same mentality of, I'm having a lot of fun, so I never stop doing it. I never stop working because I enjoy it so much, whether it's one particular aspect of like maybe they're coding an application, or if they're doing education related things. Almost every single person I talk to, they always say the exact same thing of like, I work all the time and I don't stop. And like, it's probably not healthy, but I enjoy it. And I would much rather do this than have a job that I hate, or be doing like some random coding thing that I hate and I don't care about the application. So it's like, I don't know, bullish.
I
I
think
hear you,
they
man.
people. I mean, look, devs are doing engaging stuff. Like they're
Yeah.
solving fun problems, and so it is fun. That being said, like just in case someone is listening and they're like, "Oh shoot, I need to
Burnout
work
is real.
more,"
Mental health is important.
and they're already doing too much. Is like obviously we're all like occasionally going to dinner with family or coworker or friends. It's like we're not like literally hunkered down 24/7. It's like we we step outside of our cave and
Go
like
touch some
interact
grass.
with people on occasion, right? It's like
That's
all
James
the
talking
three,
for him. That's him.
that's just me. That's just me. Well, it's like the three of us here are married. Nick and I both have children, so it's like there are other things that we do
Oh
during
yeah,
the day
absolutely.
as
You
well.
have to.
Right? Like we're not like literally 100% focused on the computer and doing work. That being said, like we are certainly all people who like to be doing things, right? Sometimes I feel like I'm craving leisure time, and then when I have leisure time, I'm like bored
Dude,
and
same.
unengaged, and I'm like, well, like, okay, I guess that's not what I wanted, right? And and so like while there is some kind of balance, I think everybody's balance is a little bit different, right? And like
Absolutely.
my version of balance is like, oh well, let me move. It's like I'm feeling burnt out on this problem, so let me pause and go focus on a different problem, right? Where I've realized like uh more than a couple hours of leisure time is like, okay, now I'm done, and so I'll just sort of jump from like one problem to another, and then circle back to the one that like had me feeling burnt out a couple days ago.
Yeah, dude. I agree. I totally agree. Actually, like I one time, the only time I've like ever worked like for a company, like full time, was in Uruguay, and after I decided to take my vacation days, was like 20 working days, so it's like a whole month. And that in that month, I bought like a ESP32, which is like a circuit
Yeah.
thing, and I bought a bunch of stuff, and I learned how to do IoT stuff. That's what I did in my month. And my wife was like, why would you do that? Like she's different. Like, so she doesn't like get it. And I mean, I love her because she helps me balance a lot. Like, so we're very different. We see it differently. But I was like, bro, I took a month vacation, and all I did was working on some other problem that I created for myself, because I didn't have to. Like, I decided to buy a bunch of stuff that I didn't know how to use. I did a bunch of tools I didn't know how to use, and decided to, yeah, I'm gonna just learn this shit. I'm just gonna do it. And yeah, I mean, that's what, like, if you are like that, be you. That's all good. I think the
Yeah.
problem is that when people trying to like fit in with like someone else's like point of view, like, if someone is listening to us and say, I don't feel that way, you don't have to. Like, it's all good. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm just
everyone's different.
saying like how I feel, and
Yeah.
how I move, and I mean, it's totally okay if you don't feel like that. And when I used to do, yes, sorry, sir.
No, I just was gonna say, like, I feel like the burnout comes from exactly what you're describing, which is like forcing yourself into somebody else's mold instead of
Mhm.
instead of just sort of finding what works for you, right? Like, I think everybody has a sweet spot where they're like, where they're just, they feel that flow state, and that, like I said, that's going to be different for everyone, and frankly it differs day to day. Like, I absolutely have days where like 1 p.m. rolls around, and I'm like, okay, I'm done for today. Like, I'm genuinely done. And pushing through that usually just means that there's like something worse later. Whereas if I respect that, like, I'm feeling done, I'm gonna call it today, then like I'm way more productive in the long run. Like, my week is much better when I sort of respect that, like, that day is different. So just like, do you, right? Like, pay attention to what you're feeling and what you need, and like you might find that you're happier after the fact and actually get more done as a result.
Yeah, dude. It's really funny. I think that's like cultural thing in Solana, actually, because before Solana, I used to be very active in the Angular community, and like the this what we're saying right now, like my Angular friends gonna hear me and say, "What? He didn't say that," because like the culture there is more about like work balance, and like being that way. Like, the whole culture is so different in the Angular ecosystem. And when I got to Solana, I was like, man, I now I feel home. Like, this is now my vibe. So It's funny, like all these things that we're just talking are like somehow underlaying in the culture in Solana, and that's what I feel like also attracts. That's why all of you, whenever you meet people, they all say the same, because we're all attracted by the same thing.
Oh yeah,
Being able
that's
to
true.
like just outwork all the things that we want, and everyone's like cheering out for us, like let's go. I used to feel like if I say what I feel like in a post from a friend in Angular, it's like they're gonna feel like I'm, I don't know, some sort of like overlord trying to like have their employees somehow tortured. No, man, I'm saying that I like to work on weekends. I'm saying that I like to work on holidays. I mean, that's me. But yeah, I mean, I think that's
It,
so part of us, and in
yeah.
Solana, I love that.
Yeah. I I no, I totally agree, right? And it's like even the things that aren't work, it's like they often have that similar just like excitement and intensity, you know? Like I'm thinking like the number of Solana bros who like will tweet about like their workouts and stuff, right? It's like, "Oh, they took a break to go do something else hard." Right? It's like
Do
we
hard
like
things.
challenges. You know what I mean? We like doing tough things. And leisure is great, but like it also doesn't like fill my cup, if that makes sense, right? Like sometimes it's a requirement, but it isn't the thing that makes me feel good about my life. So it's like, yeah, do more of the things that do make me feel good about my life.
That's all.
Yeah, beautiful. I we'll shift gears a little bit. We're getting pretty close to time, and one of the things we like to ask people at the end is making sure that you've had a chance to say anything else that you want to cover or discuss with us here or the listeners. So, Dan, is there anything else that you want to make sure that we mention or talk about, get across on the episode?
Um, yeah, I think this is a thought that I always say whenever I do workshops, is that blockchain is not only for finance stuff. The reason I'm here is more towards, like, I'm from Venezuela, one of the most corrupt countries in the world. I see like how public servants do whatever they want, and like actually my great project in college was related to corruption and how to prevent it. And my conclusion back then was that the only way we're gonna get through this is by having like blockchain technology. It's the only way we can fully trust the software, hence the people that's running society essentially. So right now, all the systems are controlled by a few people. Not doesn't matter where you at or where you live. It's all the same. And I think that when it comes to that, I feel like blockchain can really change the way we see government, the way we interact with the government, and how actually things are solved in our actual society. So I feel like we're all talking about like compound interest and like futures and stuff, and it's all good, but I feel like there's so much a vast universe of cool things that you can build in this technology in Solana,
100%.
actually in blockchain, but in Solana specifically, I think there's extra opportunities. So I feel like just want to make sure everyone understand. If you don't understand about finance, all you have to do a cool thing in Solana or in blockchain in general is just to think which problems require trust, in which sense there can be trust issues. So, and how can we avoid those trust issues by having software that actually works as intended. So I feel like there's a whole world of things that we can do and we can change in the world, and not just the finance stuff. The finance stuff is all good, but there's more stuff to it. And I want to make sure that you all understand that there's a lot of things that you can do, and that this technology is really game changing. Because for the first time we can actually audit the data that we get. So, and we can actually trust the things when the way it says there. Yeah, I always try to make sure to let everyone know that my life in my whole like kind of how I see blockchain is not around financials, but around how we can actually trust software and actually hence trust the government at some point, and how us as developers will be basically the architects of the future if we can actually uh, um, build code that's actually used and run by the government. So let's say that we live in a future that's everything in Solana and it's open source, and I can commit to it and I can change stuff to it. I can actually fix stuff for actual people, so more people. Let's not say like everyone has this, like they're all their applications are not important. Just saying that in a world where everything is in blockchain, everything is open, everything is public, and it's transparent, and we can look at the code and we can make pull requests and stuff. We're essentially, as developers, we get so much power in society, in such society. So I feel like we should move towards more technology driven government operations, and see how we can use this technology to solve this other problem that's also very important, and everyone is like, yeah, it's all good. So I think that we should look at it as well. Just want to make sure everyone.
I love
Beautiful.
that,
I
man.
love it.
I mean,
I agree.
ultimately, I see blockchain as technology coupled with incentives, and so I think it's found its niche in finance because finance is already used to that sort of incentive based system,
Mhm.
and we're not necessarily used to applying that elsewhere. But we've barely scratched the surface, in my opinion. Like we're gonna find so many good use cases for it, and I'm not saying immediately. And I also, like I don't anyone who's listening, I'm also not like blind to the fact that uh it's challenging, and like maybe we'll try to fit a square peg in a round hole every once in a while. Like it's not going to work everywhere, but I agree with you. There are plenty of places where it's like, there's administrative stuff, there's governmental stuff where like we're going to find good ways to remove, uh, you know, not remove trust, but like, you know, replace
Improve
the
trust.
risk of
Replace
trusting
that
a
with
bad actor.
better trust
That's a
assets
great
or trust
that's a
abilities. Yeah.
great way to phrase it. Yeah, we're improving trust. We're reducing the risk of trusting a bad
More
actor
efficient,
in.
productive trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's keep brainstorming these buzzwords. This is good.
Actually, it's
Buzzwords,
funny,
apparently.
the other day we had to change some stuff in our company here in Spain, and we had to pay like 500 euros to literally change 2 lines of a contract. Like,
Oh, wow.
why? Like, why? Because some dude had to read it and approve it, so we had to like pay for his time and some like extra stuff, and like that's where you see like, bro, there's so many, and the reason it works that way is because you have to have one guy that like without a shadow of a doubt reviews it and says, hey, I'm gonna push this through, and I'm responsible if there's something wrong. That's all there is. So that's the whole problem. So the only way like we can trust that the contract that is stored there, it's like okay, is if someone else that has this special credential just reads it and say, yeah, I read it and it was good. So that's why we had to pay like 500 euros to do that. So imagine how many small things we could fix by just being able to store the documents in a database that we can trust and that we have actual transparency and we can actually track it. Uh, when I was doing my work in college, I went to public servant, like they was running the citizen attention program or something like that. So I explained a system that we were like offering to them that will make the process of interactions with the citizens easier. So essentially, they have like a form where they fill and it goes to the database, so they can like track it and whatnot and get notifications, stuff like that. And the only question that I got was, are citizens going to be able to know how long it took us to help them? I was like, yeah, that's part of the thing, to be transparent. Then we don't want it. So I mean, that's where we at, right? So I mean, we
Wow.
like this is the only, like, having systems that just ultimately make it impossible to do these kind of things are the systems that are going to prevail if we want to have a government that actually people vote on. Because everywhere in the world, people are voting less and less, because how can you trust a government that you can see them do crazy shit all the time? So I feel like this technology can really change a lot of things in society. And I've been trying to talk about this more the last years. And now I'm getting older, so now I look a little wiser. So I guess I can say it now. In the past, I used to sound like some crazy conspiracy theorist. I guess now I look a little bit less, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, man, I think there's so many cool things we can do with this technology. And I feel like so underused. And I feel like we need more people, we need more developers, we need more people pushing it. And the only way we get people in the government to actually use these solutions is that we've built them and we make them use them. We get signatures if it is required. Just make sure that we can have systems in place that we can actually trust. And us as developers in your country, you can be part of it if we were in such scenario. So I think it's really good. I would love to be in that world where like we can actually change stuff without, so many steps and so many shady stuff happening. You don't know who built the system for the government here. You don't know who, like, so the mayor here has like some new, like they built this new tool for like detention of citizens, and you don't know who built it. So you have to go through a process just to get the documentation to know why they hired them. So it's all shady. It's so damn shady, and it's a shame because we have technology already that will dramatically improve that part of the process. um and yeah, I'm pushing that in, and I hope that we get closer to that future at some point. I'm gonna do my
Sounds like
yeah.
we're gonna see Dan build heavy duty DAO network state at some point in the future.
I will
Does he
love it,
have-
man. I will love it. To be honest, yeah, I always joke about it with the team. Like we are like a family. We know each other, or like we all know each other for 15 years, 10 years, and uh, we're always saying together. It's like we should just move to a place and create like our own our own city. And yeah, that takes a lot of money. So we're gonna have to work harder to get there. But yeah, that's a really really nice dream, and it's
Nice.
not bad to have the hopes up for it. So yeah,
I love it. Well, invite me when it happens.
for
Same
sure.
here.
But I think for now we'll wrap up. Thanks so much, Dan, for joining us
Yeah,
and
thank you so much.
talking to us about your views on crypto and its usefulness, and telling us about heavy duty builders and all that you guys are doing to support the community and build out communities of devs. I think it's awesome.
Thank you guys for the time, for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
To the
anytime.
listeners, we'll see
keep
y'all
fighting the
next
good fight on
time. Check
education.
out, we'll leave info about Dan and heavy duty builders in the show notes. So check it out and go participate.
Yeah. Bye bye.
All right. We'll see you next time.